Welcome back to Horse Racing. Today for Foreign Friday, Thomas and I are going to venture halfway or more than that across the world to Hong Kong for Shot 10. I think looking at this card, Tom, pretty wide open card here. I feel like there's a lot of races where just about anything could happen. Is that why you did this to me?
To torture you? Yeah, but there's no 2-year-old racing, so at least I didn't get completely crazy like last time.
Well, these races are going to be on Saturday night into Sunday, and you want to talk about confusing. I'm already mixed up on the time difference as it is anyway, and then they're going to move the clocks forward by an hour. So you want to talk, I'll be on the wrong race for certain, at least that night. Well, good thing I'll sleep through it in all likelihood. Just get up first thing in the morning and check to see how my picks did. Do you stay up and watch them?
It depends. If I have the infamous why not, I'll stay up and watch both Australia and Hong Kong. And it just depends.
Maybe instead of long odds, Tom, it should be night time, Tom. Looks like we could have a little bit of funky weather there, though. Right now, it looks like it's raining there now, and it's supposed to be overcast on Sunday and then rain again on Monday. So maybe a little reprieve from the wetness there, but nonetheless, I would expect the track to definitely be moist, Tom. What do you think?
Yeah, I would be very surprised if it wasn't. Granted that it's a well-draining track, but it's still on the turf course, and things happen. That's the best way to describe it.
On the wet turf, with the clock changing, and a bunch of horses in here that are many of these horses making their first starts of the year. So plenty of reasons to be confused, Tom. Help me clear it up. Starting in race number 6, the Long Kong Handicap. This one, Tom, is going to be 1,400 meters. You see right there. They're going to run 1,400 meters. 1,400 meters on the course. They're going to start basically here, make one big turn around the track, come back to the winner's circle here, or winner's enclosure at the finish line. It looks like there's plenty of room in the backstretch there, Tom, to get into position. But is there any particular kind of running style that you favor?
Mid-pack, generally speaking, in Hong Kong. The dead closers do okay, but in this kind of race at this level, I'm going to say you got to be more forwardly placed.
All right. Well, speaking of forwardly placed, let's take a look at the speed map. According to this, River Views and Voyage Samurai, those two should really set the tone. Looks like a pretty packed race from front to back, Tom. So I think positioning would be key in here for sure. So who do you think is going to have the best positioning to finish up the race in the first place?
I'm going to start with I think will be the favorite, and most people would do. That's number 2, Voyager Samurai with draw 6. He won his only start, shared the lead a little bit for most of the race, and then came on nicely and took it. But you're not going to get 8-1 odds this time around on this horse. I'm going to take number 13, Smart Folks with draw 2 is my next choice.
Probably nothing that people watching us have to say.
Yeah, well, I may be also not a smart choice on my part, but we'll see. He's finished. He ran 2 last races were terrible, to say the least. He finished last and second to last, but he's shown well in the all-weather. He's had a second there. His form cycle seems to be 2 poor races and 1 good race. Well, he's on that cycle. So price, he's got a nice draw. I'll take him. 7-year-old. Let's see if he shows up. And finally, I am going to take a number 7, Patch of Thea. That was draw 4. He hasn't learned how to win yet, but in his first starts, he's got 4 placings. So they're going to change the jockey, and this one should be moving strongly at the end.
All right. Well, let's see. I'm going to go a Golden Rise, and here's my top choice. Number 3. I feel like the 1,400 meters today is the proper distance. The horse has finished no worse than 5th in 6 races off the bench like today, which a lot of these horses, again, folks, making their first start. So you just don't know what a lot of them are going to bring. A Patch of Data, the 7 horse, a pair of seconds and thirds, as you mentioned, Tom, in 4 races, doesn't won yet, but this one's stretching out and adding 200 meters. And you did point out that the horse will be coming at the end. I think those 200 meters are going to be huge for Patch of Theta. Number 10, maybe this is my not smart pick in here, but let's go with Smiling Collector as my third choice. I think, Tom, this is the quintessential year horse here. Does he win? Probably not, but does run very competitively in first up and at the track and the distance. So wouldn't be surprised to see a placing or showing in here. And then finally, I know a lot of people are going to be on Voyage Samurai in here, Tom. Won its last race. I think it was his debut. Very hard fought win. I mean, just battled all the way across the track. I think there's a lot of early speed up in here too. I'm concerned horse could be a little bit sore, maybe work too hard, and then the pace could be too hot and just kind of fade a little bit at the end. So I put the likely favorite in the fourth spot on the potential fade there, Tom. Let's move off to race number 7 at the Hong Kong Sha Tin meet there. The Queen's Silver Cup Jubilee. I think I may have just pressed the wrong button there. No, we're in the right button here. Race number 7. This one is going to be, I know it's in here somewhere, Tom. I think it's the same distance.
Yeah, same distance, 1,400 meters. Except
yeah.
It's a Group 1 and a little more money involved in this
yes.
than our last.
That makes a big difference for sure, the dinero. Absolutely. So again, Tom, you're looking for mid-pack runners. Let's take a quick look at the speed shape for this race in here. For race
we could have a dead closer in here too. Remember, this is a little different level of horse.
Mm-hmm. So you have California Spangle. Looks like that one should be the one that takes the lead, but got a bunch of mid-pack pressure types here. Am I on the right race or wrong race?
Yeah, you got the right race.
All right. So with the mid-pack pressure types in here, Tom, could put a little bit of heat on that front runner. So if you're looking for some in the middle, Tom, I think there's one in here, however, that has a lot of success at this distance. I expect to hear from you on, or at least at this track. So who are you going to start it off with?
I'm going to start with number 1, Lucky Swayze. Has draw 8. Had all kinds of problems in his last race. He was checked, he was blocked, and he came back lame, but still ran 6th, which is pretty remarkable when you think about it.
Yeah.
He's a really good sprinter. And 1,400 meters is that strange distance, but he's 3 for 3 at this distance. So that's not bad.
Can't argue with that.
No, and there's a good pace in this race with California Spangle going to be on the front end. And they switched jockeys because Zach decided to take the Beauty Eternal instead. And I think it's a nice pickup. And you're not losing anything with McDonald. I mean, he's top in Australia and top here.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, Beauty Joy is going to be my next choice. So draw 10. Ran late on in a last race in a 2,000 meter race, which I think is too far for this horse. But we got 6th. It was 4 1/4 lengths back, but it was running against Romantic Warrior, and there are a lot of horses that seen the back end of that one this year, including a race in Australia. I think this is a better distance, and based on the record of 9 starts, got 2 wins, 2 seconds, and 3rd. I think that little bit of cut and a little bit of in the distance should really help and get a nice placing here. And finally, I'm going to take number 6, Healthy Happy, for draw 7. Last race,
most people want to be, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's got draw 7. I tossed the last race out. It bled. You're not going to run well if that happens. Prior races, he's made good moves late, moving up, and with the speed in this race, I think he'll be closing at the end.
I agree with you on the top pick there. Lucky Swayze instead of Mayonnaise. So it is hard to pass on a horse that's gone 3 for 3 at the distance, but even more impressively, the horse has 4 wins in 6 Group 1s and a pair of 3rds in there. So you know that it's not the lights aren't too bright for Lucky Swayze. I'm going to take a little bit of a flyer in my next pick, Tom, in here. Galaxy Patch. This one's a big step up in class for certain. There's no question about that. Another horse I feel like getting an extra 200 meters is going to be a big time difference maker. But if you read through the comments on this horse, when it gets a clean trip, the horse wins with ease, it says, and that's at shorter lengths. And even when the horse does manage to find itself in trouble, still manages to find a way to hit the board. So I'm hoping you see a nice clean trip here, Tom, for this horse, so we can read another one of those comments. One with ease, but at big price.
Go on that Speed Pro chart and show them where people can find the comments to read. If you just page down, you get all the comments. Not this one, but the go to.
So yeah, if we come up here, there's another button.
Go to Speed Pro, Speed Pro one.
We'll link to this on Horse Racing Today.
These also show you the running positions, but it will also give you a lot more descriptive information if you don't have access to videos. To see what the track people are seeing and commenting on, and how wide and what kind of pace it was, and all kinds of can be very helpful information if you want to dig a little deeper into a race and into a specific horse.
So even here you see pace good to slow and still manage to close pretty aggressively. And if you can close into a slow pace, then closing is something that you're excelling at. I'm going to go with the 3-horse. Beauty Eternal is my third choice in here. You got Shaw 10 horse that's run at the distance 4 times, 3 wins and a second. First up record, which the horse is making its first start after some time off on the sidelines. 2 wins and a third. Again, class being the question for me, but does have a second at this, and it does get one of the top jockeys there in Zach Burton. So that's
he's switching off of my top choice, and your top choice too. So there must be a reason for that.
Yeah, it must feel good about it. And then finally, Tom, number 5, Lucky With You. This horse is running a couple of Group 1s, has a couple of close seconds, so hasn't quite taken that O off the board yet too, but not been that far off. And the first up record rocks as well, just like we saw with the 3-horse. 4 times out, 3 wins in a second. Shaw 10, though, the reason why I put the 3 over to 5 might not be its favorite course.
He appears to be more of a Happy Valley horse than a Shaw 10 course runner. That's why I was a little hesitant in putting him on top.
Go Nittany Lions.
Putting him in, I should say.
Wrong Happy Valley, but still.
Yeah, well,
Those Nittany Lions. Race number 8. We're going to go to the NGA Sin Y handicap, or the Na Sin Y handicap. This one's going to be 1,000 meters, Tom. So they're just going to go straight down this the front stretch. Boom, straight sprint. I don't know. We see a lot of these races in England where they part and head to the rails and leave the middle of the track open. Even in short sprints, can we expect to see that here, or are they all just going to dash to the finish line?
They generally, if they're going to do any bunching up, it tends to be more to the center. I think we'll play a factor if we do get some rain and there's a little bit of heavy moisture in the track. It'll depend on where it's on that straight where it's playing best.
So speed should be an interesting part of this race, Tom. And you can see this time they're running the other way this time, right? The other ones were pointing that way. Now they're pointing. This is the Yosemite Sam track. He went that way. So it looks like Chevelle Valiant is the one that they expect to get to the lead. And a whole bunch of them will be pressed up against that horse in there. So according to this, the pace can be hot, Tom. But when I was kind of going through the numbers, and we'll talk about that in a second, I don't know that I necessarily agree with the imaging here. How about you?
Nah. I went 4.
All right.
Stellar Express with draw 10. First start here, ran second, lost by half a length at this distance, and showed a ton of promise, it looks like. And they're going to switch jockeys to number 1 jockey at the track, and there's a reason for that, in my opinion. And I think you'll see this horse win. Number 8, James Tack is going to be my next choice. Is draw 11. He's raced 4 times. He ran 4th in his first start, and then he did pretty well. 1,000-meter win, a 1,200-meter win. He's shown the ability to run the straight. So, yeah, I'm pretty good. Finally, I'm going to take a bit of a flyer in this last one. Number 10, Youthful Spirits, with draw 9. One is maiden in Australia in June by 3 and plus lengths. And this will be his first start in Hong Kong. Well, I usually don't play first starters in Hong Kong, but he had wind surgery in October. They've given him time to develop. He finished second in his first run in Australia, and then won the next start. And I think this one could hit the board, and that's where I'm going to play him to do.
Rewinding back a race, Michael Bruil. She's going to try to beat Lucky Swainies with coming off the vets list, and maybe that's why Zach Purton got off him. Maybe he hasn't fully recovered, and it could be a tell right there, Thomas.
Right.
And then also Heroic Master had no pace help in his last and lost ground entering the stretch in his last race. I actually have Heroic Master as part of my picks, but I'm going to start with Sparkling Night. I mentioned it's also catching a 5-pound weight break in here, Thomas, which I think it can be a plus. I don't feel like there's a whole lot of speed in here. I know that the race map defies that, says everybody has a whole lot of speed, but I looked at the opening quarters, and a lot of those horses that were forward ran like 23 seconds. So I don't consider that all that fast, but some of the more quicker horses were running on the low 21s, even a couple under 21. They're definitely going to set the tone. Sparkling Night, I feel like, gets to the lead in this race because I do think it's the fastest horse in the race. And I think he's going to stay there, Tom. That weight break, 5 pounds, 1 length, right?
Yep.
Stellar Express is my second choice, the 4-horse. Again, that's that Zach Purton horse in there. I was hoping he'd get overlooked, Tom, but based upon the fact that you put him on top, I think, and Zach riding him, he's not going to be overlooked in here. But the horse did run exceptionally well in France, and is one of those horses that could have a decided advantage over the rest of this field because he does have a 2024 race in the books. It was his first race after 176 days on the bench, and it was in Hong Kong. So I think second up could be a plus for this guy there, Thomas. Finally, number 6, Baby Crystal. It's my third choice in here. This one does have a pretty strong first up record. Doesn't win, but 4 times out. A trio of seconds. Has run at the track in the distance 5 times with a win in 3 seconds. So everything says the horse is going to finish second. I just think my first 2 picks are better. And then finally, Heroic Master. That is my final choice in here. This one almost always puts in a very solid race. I suspect he'll do it again, but I feel like the next race, this is more of a tune-up. The next race is the one that you want to circle on the map for Heroic Master. So for me, 5, 4, 6, and 2 in a couple of horses that we overlap on, Tom. If today's your first day joining us, thank you. If you could kindly do so, if you're watching us on Twitter, retweet so other folks can be lucky with you, like horse number, what horse was lucky? That was the last race. So keep an eye on that. Also, you can follow us on our YouTube channel, Horse Racing Radar TV. While you're there, hit the subscribe button and the like button, and you can also share our content. And of course, you see all of our other social sites down there scrolling below. Let's move off to race number 9, Tom. That's the last of 2 for us. The 9th race being, let me pop that up on the banner down here, the South Wall Handicap. This time they're going to run 1,800 meters. As you can see here, a little preview. They're going to start all the way at the back and run all the way down and then all the way around. This is a kind of a longer race, Tom. With it being a longer race, are you going to move from the middle more towards the back, or do you think maybe you can get to the front and hang on?
No, you're not going to hang on. It's going to be closer.
Closer, all right. Very, very definitive in that answer then.
Well, I think at this these are horses that not either run in group races or a notch below it, and so this is a relatively classy field that you could easily make you could see them running group 3s and doing pretty well.
Well, if you're looking for closers, it looks like you're going to have plenty of options down. It looks like a lot more want to be middle back than forward. So I think if one could get to the front and run reasonable fractions like Champion Dragon, opportunity to go wire to wire, but there will definitely be a stampede coming for them as they prepare to take the winner's photo. Who is it that heads into the winner's closer with a happy team around it?
I'm going to take number 2, 5G Patch with draw 4. He ran against that mentioned before Romantic Warrior at 2,000 meters last time out, and yeah, no match. He drops back in distance, 1 turn also. He's placed at this distance, but never won. So a little bit, but he's dropping a little bit out of those group races. I think he's got a favorable draw with 4 and a nice jockey change to Hugh Bowman. Number 3, Happy Together with draw 2 is going to be my next choice. It was one of this distance once from 3 tries. He's been one of those horses that just keeps improving. He is a Group 3 winner a couple races back. He also gets a favorable draw hitting this, and I think he can run this bunch down at the end. And I do think he'll be the favorite, though. But I think it would not surprise me if one of the favorite in this race is 3-1. Number 12, CP Brave is going to be my final choice with draw 9. This is my cloud horse. He's going to be coming late, as he did last time. In 2,000 meters, he won by a neck. Probably a really superior effort that he's run. Based on that and moving up a little bit in class, I'm going to think he's going to be taken back, tucked in, and then they're going to turn him loose. And I think he can hit the board doing that.
A Tom horse. I'm going to go with Rising from Ashes. The horse ran at this track at this distance 1 time, and it won. And that was following a layoff of about 4 months. Well, let's see if that cycle can repeat here. Happy Together. I think that's the only one you and I agree on here, Tom. This one is unbeaten in both of his races at this level. So we'll see if he can make it a hat trick, as our good friend Tom, terrific Terry Hay calls them. Number 7, Tourbillon Diamond is my 3rd choice. This one, Tom, is the quintessential Tom horse. I think it could win, probably not, because it's going to be way behind everybody at the beginning. It's a deep field. Any trouble could hinder its opportunity to find the wire first. But this one will be coming like a madman at the end, and I think really strong chance to be 2nd or 3rd. And then finally, I have no choice but to go with this one, 5G Patch. I took it over that one, Tom. But I'm going to go with the best Peach, because Peach is the name of my chubby blonde girlfriend. That is my overweight Labrador. So I could not go without her and my picks there, Tom. But I suspect in this case, this horse will be moving as well as anybody at the end of the race, like my dog to the food bowl, Tom. And another one that might not win, but have a good chance to fatten up your exactas and trifectas. And then finally, our last race of the day, Tom, is race number 10. I have no idea what time any of these races are going off again because of the clock change. You're going to make everything pretty aggressive in there. Chubby blonde girlfriend, but blonde girlfriend could work too. There's no question about that. And my yellow lab, she's just some. I've never seen an animal more food motivated in all of my life than that animal. Anyway, all right. So in this one, Tom, they're going to run 1,600 meters. So that's 1,600 meters. They're going to back it up a little bit from the 1,400 meter, but move forward a little bit from that 1,800 meter. So that should put Tom's pick somewhere between the middle and the back of the pack. So if we're looking at early on, Fran Tank should be your pace setter, natural front runner, according to the notes that we see here. We're going to have a whole bunch of horses giving chase. So I agree, Tom. Just looking at the pig through a python shape of this horse race, I would be looking middle back as your winner. And you're probably going to tell me, nah, I'm going wire to wire.
No, I'm not. I'm going to take 13. Talent's Ambition is my next choice, my first choice. Draw 2. First start in Hong Kong, I was a really nice effort. Ran 6th. It lost by a length and 3/4. Got bumped at the start. sat in the back of the field and big rally at the end. I think he needed that run because he's won twice from 3 starts before coming to Hong Kong. And I think the added distance from his first start will only help. Number 9, Solaire Fighter is going to be my next choice. Has the awful draw of 14. He's run twice in Hong Kong, and he's shown big improvement from the first to second start. He lost by a neck. It was an awkward start, and he sat second most of the race. So he's a little more forwardly placed. Before coming to Hong Kong, he did pretty well. He had 8 starts, 2 wins, a second and a third. Based on that last run, I think you're going to see a strong race out of him. At post position, though, sucks. Finally, 3, Illuminacio Silesa. This is going to be my final choice. Draw 4. Came to Hong Kong with 7 starts, a win, and 5 seconds. So he won his first start in Hong Kong and then ran a stinker the next time out. I think you'll see some form reversal here, and I think the added distance only helps, and he'll return to form.
What's crazy about this race, Tom, is I felt like when I was going through it, this might be the most wide open race of the day. And yet we both picked the same 3 horses. I pick a 4th one, so we have a little bit of a difference in there. But I've decided to stick on a theme of horses that have a little bit of a 2024 runs in them, so maybe they'd be a little bit more race shape than some of the others. And here I thought Talent's Ambition. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get a good one here that Tom's not going to get. And then, of course, you start with it, and so do I. For a lot of the same reasons, the horse did make a strong late push in its debut for 2024 at 1,400 meters. I think if that race had been 1,600 meters, it would have graduated that day. So we'll see if that's the case. Illuminous, number 3, is my second choice in here too. This one's making the classic 3rd start after a layoff, and I think could have a decided advantage in terms of form. Number 1, Universal Horizon, is my 3rd choice in here. The only one that we don't agree on. Maybe if you had a 4th pick, we would. But this one, by far, hands down, the best record at Shaw Tin for this group. And it's, I don't even think remotely close to anybody else. And that's why it's the only horse in my picks that hasn't had a race in 2024. And Solaire Fighter, that's my 3rd choice in there, Tom. Another that has, I think, the edge of having a little bit of racing experience in 2024. All the other ones are coming off the bench and could be a bit rusty. So 13-3, 1-9, with Tom and I agreeing on 3 out of 4 in the 3 out of 3 in the most wide open race of the day. So that means X all of those out and look at the others, and you'll probably find your winner.
It's very possible. Very, very possible.
Have a trouble trip on my notes for the 10 and Beato. Yeah.
That
was actually the one I was thinking about putting in the 3rd or 4th in my mix.
That was my 4. It's a dead closer. But again, it could run into trouble. Even though it drew a little better than last time out. It's got the 7. I think, as you can see in the top 2 weights, horses with the top rating numbers, they've got heavier weights, but they've all drawn outside. I was a little more leery of picking those 2 because of those outside draws, even though I did pick the one that was coming out of 14, but I just think he had a strong race. And
the Solaire Fighter.
Yeah, he just had a really strong race last out. So he could probably got a good chance of hitting the board.
So along with the Hong Kong racing for you and I on Saturday night through Sunday morning, I want to say thank you to Michael for letting us know that last race will start at 5:15 a.m. Eastern. I will be sound asleep at that time. Maybe, you never know. I might.
You may get up. You got nothing better to do, right?
Nah, I'm not rested enough as it is. But there's a big week of racing in England. The end of the jumping season comes together. So, Tom, tell us a little bit about what's happening Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
And we do have the Grand National stuff coming at Aintree. So there's some big races to come in the jump season. But this is kind of the I almost can consider a Breeders' Cup type situation with the runs. with the horses entered and the running, and the odds will be all over the place. So you'll
and
see.
it's what's called a Cheltenham or something like that. I always mispronounce it.
It's the Cheltenham Festival. It's usually very, very well attended. Even though I did hear a lot of grumbling last time out, I think they were charging a ridiculous amount of money for a pint. So there was a lot of complaints about that.
As there always are, right?
Absolutely. We get that here too.
Mm-hmm. And Tom is going to have his living, breathing picks, because right now they haven't settled on the fields. They only have those horses that have been nominated. So once they settle on it, we'll put them up on Monday night over at horseracingtoday.net. There is a link to that in the description. So make sure you use that. Also in the link in the description to some free picks every day and a guaranteed tip sheet. Make sure you head on over there and get them and use the links provided in the content that we bring, because that lets them know where you're coming from. Useful for us. And again, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe, follow us on Twitter, follow us and subscribe on YouTube as well. Hit the like buttons, also retweets, comments, thumbs up, any interaction that you have with us, no matter what it is, as simple as a retweet or a thumbs up, helps us with the algorithms. So when people search for horse racing, better chance that they'll find us. Tom, any idea what we might do next week?
No. Originally, I was going to be on vacation, but things have happened. So I will return to doing some more handicapping on Friday.
Tom is doing.
We do know that coming at the end of the month is the Dubai World Cup, and we will definitely have probably do the whole card that day.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually there are a few good races they run there for some minor money, but
a decent amount of money.
Yeah.
Terry's walking around lunch money for sure. All right. Well, that wraps it up for today. Thanks for joining us. We certainly do appreciate it. No matter what you're doing for the rest of this day, this weekend, we certainly hope that it has God's grace, God's favor, and every single thing that you do ends up in
the winner's enclosure.
Especially in Hong Kong this weekend. Have a great weekend.